Hi guys. Okay, this is the tutorial for Lab 5, Descriptive Statistics. So you can um, take a look and see step by step what it is I am expecting you to accomplish in this lab. So first, before we get started, just keep in mind you will complete this in your group. This is a group assignment, so I do not need everyone submitting a independent submission here. Just assign one person in your group to submit it and everyone will receive credit. Also for this lab, you're going to need data from our Canvas module. I'm going to show you where that is in just a moment. It's entitled Sample Data for Lab 5. And then you will also need Microsoft Excel and JASP. JASP is the statistics software that we will be using for all of our stats in this class. This was mentioned at the beginning of the semester. The link to the page where you can download JASP is on the home page of Canvas, and it is free to download. So if you have not done so yet, please make sure that you have JASP downloaded because you will need that to produce your outputs for all of your labs and then for your actual research study. Really quickly, again, the link is on the home page, but this is the JASP page where you can download the software. You just choose whichever operating system you have and then download based on whichever operating system you have. I have Windows, and so I just downloaded the 64-bit, and that works just fine. Okay, going back to our assignment page. The goals here are for you to input and analyze descriptive data, as well as read and understand the statistical output. So I'm going to be walking you through all of the steps to complete this. So make sure that number one, you are watching this tutorial. By the time you have access to this, you'll see that tutorial posted here. And then after you watch the tutorial, then you want to complete these 3 steps. Okay, so what we are first going to do is take a look at the data. Okay, so our first step of this lab is entering the data from the sample data set below. So this is a picture of sample data that you're going to enter into an Excel file. Okay, you can also, again, download this picture. So you have the data here. It might be a little bit small for you to see the way that it's posted here. So you can go to the weeks module. We are in week 7. So if you go to modules and jump down to week 7, you're going to find the file here. So sample data set for lab 5. So you can click on this, and I think it makes it pretty large enough for you to be able to read everything, but you could even download the file and open that if that makes it easier for you. But essentially, this is our data, okay? So the first task is to take the data and to plug it into an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so jumping back to our assignment page. Okay, so step 1, enter the data from the sample data set into Excel. Be sure to code and define non-numerical data. Okay, so we're going to see in this sample data set, we have numbers, which is already numerical, which is great. But then we have some letters indicating which gender and which political affiliation these participants identify with and belong to. So we need to code that because when we're running stats, everything has to be in a number format, okay? So when we're entering this data into Excel, we have to code non-numerical data before entering it. Okay. When you are entering this information into Excel, remember that your first column should always be participant. They have it listed here as person, but the number of the participant, okay? And then we enter all of the information. Now, I've already done this, but I'm going to show you how this will look once it is in an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so we have our headings, we have person, age, income, number of times voted in the last year, and then we have gender and political affiliation. And then off to the side, I have my code. So I remember, okay, how did I code these variables? So I coded gender as female will be represented by the number 1 and male will be represented by the number 2. Okay, and then we have political affiliation. So for political affiliation, I have it such that Democrats are represented by the number 1, Republicans are represented by the number 2, and then other is represented by the number 3. So in my data set, going back to our picture, for male, male, female, male, male, etc., instead of the letter M, I'm going to put the number that is representative of that gender. Okay, so that's our first step, is making sure that we enter all of our data, we've coded everything appropriately and entered it appropriately, and then we have everything in our Excel file. Now, when we save this file, you need to make sure you're saving it as a CSV file. The reason for this is that that is the only type of file that JASP will accept. All right, so make sure you have it saved as a CSV file somewhere on your computer, and then the next step is to go to JASP. Okay, so let's jump back to our assignment page. Okay, once data is coded, entered, and defined, run the appropriate statistical analysis as described in the tutorial, which you're watching right now, for descriptive statistics for N, mean, range, etc., and then frequencies. Okay, so these are the how many of each questions, and then answer the following questions. Okay, so these are basically the questions you're answering. All right, what I would do is take these questions, copy and paste them into a Word document like you see here. Okay, so Lab 5 questions, how many total participants, that's our N. How many of each gender, that's a frequency, which I'm going to show you in a minute. What was the average age for all participants? That's a descriptive statistic, which I'll show you in just a minute. What is the range of salary for all participants? That's another descriptive. What is the average salary for the participants? That's another descriptive. How many of each? That's another frequency. And then what is the average number? That's another descriptive. So for this entire lab, all we are doing is running descriptive stats and running a frequency. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do that step by step in JASP. Okay, so let's open up JASP. When you have JASP downloaded on your computer and you open it, it should look something like this. Okay, so you want to go up to the menu. You can click on open a data file, or just go up to the menu tab here, click on that, and it should open up. It should open up. There we go. This little menu, and we want to go to open. And we want to go to, you can probably go to computer to see where your files are saved. I already have it in my recent files because I've been working on it. But wherever it is, just like you would open a file in any other software program, find that file wherever you saved it on your computer and then open it up. Okay, so I already have Lab 5 CSV, and it automatically puts everything into the data in JASP. Okay, now once we do this, the next step, which is extremely important because we can't run our stats unless we do this, is we need to change the labels. When it is uploaded into JASP, it kind of just automatically chooses whatever it thinks it is in terms of type of scale. We need to change that. We want all of our data to be nominal data, okay? So we want to change this to nominal. We want to change age to nominal. We want to change income to nominal. We want to change number of times voted to nominal. And then gender is already identified as nominal, so we're good. And then political affiliation to nominal. Now these we don't really need to worry about because this is actually just where I put my codes in. So we're not even going to be using this for the stats output. Okay, so I have my data entered. All right, the next thing I want to do is I want to run descriptive statistics. So you just go up to the little icon that says descriptives and you click on that. Okay, and now all of my variables are automatically listed here from my Excel file. And then I just double click. You can either click on it and hit the arrow, or you can click on it and double click on it and it'll come over. I'm going to actually take person out because we're not running anything on that. So we want age, we want income, click, move it over. We want number of times voted in the last 5 years, move it over. We want gender, move it over. And then we want political affiliation, move it over. Okay, and then just a little tip as far as like where to find information in JASP and kind of the the layout of JASP. It's really good to make sure your window is as open as possible, and then these little arrows open and close tabs. Okay, so if I wanted to go back to my data, I'm like, oh, I entered something wrong here. I would click on that. And then if I want to close the data and go back to my stats page, I would just click on that arrow. And then this will open up my results to be the full page. Okay, if I want to see everything, because sometimes it's going to go out like far out to that side. And then if I want to go back, I just close that back and here's my variables page again. Okay, so this is our basic descriptive stats. Now remember, I also want to know a couple of other things. I want to know range, and I don't see range here. Okay, I just see my mean, standard deviation, minimum, maximum. We're actually not even going to use any of these three for the sake of this assignment, but I want some more data. So I'm going to go down to statistics and I'm going to open that menu and I'm going to look for range. Okay, and then I just click on that and there it goes. It gave me the range. Okay, so now I'm going to minimize this so I can take a look at my data and I'm going to go back to my questions. All right, I'm going to start answering some questions because I've got data here to answer my questions. All right, so how many total participants? Okay, this we can get through frequency and we can get through descriptives. So going back to my descriptives, all I have to do is look at the number of valid participants or the number of valid data entries. So I have 24, okay? So 24 is my N, is number of participants. So I just go back to my Word document and type in 24. Okay, how many of each? This is a frequency question. We're going to skip over this and come back to this after we do our frequency. What is the average age for all participants? This is a descriptive stat. This is looking for the average, and by this point we should know that average is represented by mean. Okay, so what is the average age of all participants? 32.417. So I'm going to go back to my Word document and 32.417. You guys can actually round it to the second decimal for the sake of this assignment. So that would be 32.42. Okay. All right. What is the range? So remember, we wanted range. That's why we went back and got it and included it in our data. So let's go back to our data. What is the range? Range is, that's age, sorry, range of income. Okay, so we're looking at income now. Range of income is 24,000. So range, we should know this, but range is the difference between the highest number and the lowest number in that category, okay? So it is, darn it, I've already forgotten it. It is 24,000. Our range is 24,000, okay? So I'm just going to type in 24,000. You can just put 24,000 if you really want to be specific. You can throw that $sign in there. I like, I like specifics. That's cool. Okay. Now we want the average salary. So our range for salary was 24,000. Now we want average. And again, average is represented by mean. So now we're looking at income and the mean. Our average salary is 39,708. 39,007. Oh, look, that's my key. Just kidding, guys. I opened the wrong one. 39,708. Okay, and again, you can throw that $sign in there if you want to. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I think my kids are like making random noises in the background, so my apologies. Okay. And then what is the average? So we're going to skip this one because, again, this is a frequency. We're going to go to G. What is the average number of times voted in the past 5 years? So we're going to go back to our data, and we're going to look at number of times voted in last 5 years, and we're going to look at mean for average. So average is 3.917. We can round that to 3.92. Okay. All right. So we've got almost all of our questions answered just by doing those descriptive stats. The other questions, the how many of each questions, the way we find this out is by doing a frequency. Okay. So let's close that back up, go back to our data, and now we're going to go to frequencies. The frequency test that you want to use for the sake of this assignment is our classical binomial test. Okay, so we're going to open that. Gives us a new area to input data. And for this one, let's go back to our questions and see what we wanted. We want to know how many of each gender, and we want to know how many of each political affiliation. Okay, so we're going to go back and we're going to grab gender and throw it over, and we're going to grab political affiliation and throw it over. Okay, now this gives us a P result, which we're not interested in for the sake of this assignment either. What we're really just looking at is counts. Okay, so this is where we're going to see our frequencies. How many of each? How many of each gender? How many of each political affiliation? And then again, we have to remember how we coded this. We coded females for number 1. We coded males as number 2. So looking at this, the number of females we had as participants in the study were 7. The number of males were 17. So I'm going to go back to my questions. How many of each gender? Females equals 7. Males equals 17. All right. And then I'm going to go back to political affiliation. And I need to remember how I coded that. I think it was, let's go ahead and put this in here. Democrats, Republicans, can't spell today, can't type today. And then other. Okay, let's just put our equal sign in there for each of these. And equals. I think it was Democrats were 1. Republicans 2, 3 other. I think it was in this order, if I remember correctly. Let's go back, and I have my code right here, actually. So yeah, Democrats 1, Republicans 2, other 3. So Democrats were 1. We have 9 Democrats. We have 7 Republicans, and we have 8 other. Okay, so 9, 7, 8. Going back. We've got, oh, that's my key. I keep opening my key. Going back to the questions, 9, 7, and 8. Okay. Bam. I am done, guys. The lab is done. Okay. Well, no, sorry. The stats questions are answered. Now, this is why you guys need to do this on your own, is because now you need to go and give me your outputs. Okay. So how do we do that? We can close this or minimize this for now. These are the two outputs that I need you to have created through your own statistical analyses. The answers obviously are going to be there, and you can use this to check your answers, but you need to go and copy these. Okay, so you just click on this arrow, copy the chart, and then go to your Word document and paste it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then you go to the second output. You copy it. So this was our frequencies. First one was our descriptive stats. This is our frequencies. And then same thing, just paste. Okay. If you want to make it like look nice and clean, you can like, you know, put it down to another page. So you have two separate ones. And then you just save this as your submission and you upload it. Okay. You can upload it as two different documents if you want to. If you want to put these into a different document and put the answers into a different document, that's fine. If you want to put them in the both, that's fine. As long as I see everything uploaded, then you guys are good to go. Okay. This will come into play a little bit later, but the nice thing about JASP as well is once you have these copied and pasted into your Word document, like your paper, when you write your paper, you can then come in here and change things. So like, for example, you know, the stats test for frequencies includes the p-test, but we don't necessarily need it for this assignment. So you could always come in here and just like delete all that stuff, and you have a chart that represents what it is that you are trying to show us. Okay. You can leave the P in there for the sake of this assignment if you want to, that's fine with me. But just to give you, you know, a little bit of information for the future, these charts are totally editable, which is pretty cool. You can't do that with other software programs. Okay. So then going back to our assignment page, you're going to type out the answers to these questions. I have it here that you can type them into two different documents or paste them into two different documents and upload both of them. You can put them in the same document if you want. It's fine. I don't really care how you present it as long as all the information is there. Okay. All right. That is about it. If you have any questions, please reach out. Let me know. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing all of your super awesome descriptive stats this week. Okay. Talk to you guys soon.